Hey guys, this is Quinn with Larson Ski and Sport. Today we are going to show you how to get a windsurfing sail rigged up so you can get out on the water and get moving. Today we will be using a Bic Nova T-rig sail. A little bit more beginner sail, but it's definitely great rig pack to get you set up and started for getting out on the water. With what comes in the rig pack, you have your sail right here. We'll be using a 6.0. You will have an extension, your mast, your boom, and then finally your mast base. With this guy, we will show you how to get it rigged up to where you can properly have enough power on the water without getting tossed around or anything like that. That being said, let's get started. First, we'll start by rolling out the sail, so we'll get some of this stuff out of the way for right now. Move the boom and everything over here. With your sail, it does have a little tab right here at the bottom that is pretty handy to keep everything rolled up. We're gonna pop that guy off. Sails are gonna get rolled up from the bottom up, so I'm gonna slide right here and toss this guy out and make sure that everything is laying nice and flat, looking good, so we can get started. Well, let's scooch this guy back a little bit. Awesome. So now that we have our sail rolled out, you can see what we're working with. If we're looking at our sail here, it does give us a little bit of information on what we're working with. So right here, you'll find numbers corresponding to your luff and your boom. This is basically saying the type of mast you need and how long it's going to be. The boom is basically saying how big your boom needs to be from boom head to the clue, and then it's just going to tell you this is a T-Rig Nova 6.0. So to get started, we will start with our mast top here. You'll notice it's the slightly skinnier version, and it does have this little cap at the end. So we are going to start by sliding that guy right into the luff of our sail on this end. And we are going to push it on up there, holding on to our sail, and we're just going to make sure that this guy slides into the upper part of the luff right above there. And once we get to about here, this is where we can start to attach our mast, or the bottom of our mast. This guy is going to be a little bit wider, and you'll also notice it has the open end and then this big thing on the front that's just going to correspond to your mast upper. When you guys are putting this together, you definitely want to make sure you're in a nice, clean, grassy area or something. What we don't want is any sand or dirt getting in here, because with this tight fit, if there is any grit or anything like that, it will become almost impossible to get apart. So it's imperative to have that guy be clean and wiped out before we slide that in there. From there, we are going to hold on to our sail just like this. Sometimes you can put it up on your knee to make it a little bit easier. And we are going to just push this mast all the way to the top of the sail luff, so we just have a little bit sticking out here. Now we're going to move up to the top here, and we are going to get this mast cap attached. And the mast cap is just going to be this little plastic thing, usually held on by a cord right here at the top. And so we are just going to make sure that the top of our mast is sitting snugly right in the top of that mast cap. Cool. All right, now that we've got our mast in our sail, we can now get this guy going. This will be your T-Rig extension that comes in your rig pack. With this guy, we do need to do a little math to get this guy totally set up. With your rig pack, you get a Nova mast, and that is 430 centimeters right there. But our luff on the sail is asking for 448. So what we want to do is make sure that we can use our extension, extend this guy up, and make sure that we can get our 430 mast all the way out to a 448. So what we'll do here is, if we have 430, we're going to bump it up about 18 centimeters here. So we are going to pop that up, use this little collar to slide up our extension. And what I'm going to do, since we do have a little bit more length on our mast cap up top, I'm going to set us at 20 centimeters of extension and give ourselves a little bit more room to work with. This guy is also very important to make sure that it is clean, no sand or anything, and no sand inside your mast when getting this guy assembled. This guy will just slide on in here, making sure that we have this collar nice and tight, everything slid down. That will fit nice and snugly in there. Cool. And then we can start getting ready to downhaul. Now that we have our extension in our mast, we have our mast and our sail, we can start getting things tight and start downhauling. What we're gonna do first is use our downhaul. Usually when we're setting this up, especially if you're right-handed, it's good to have the sail to your left and the mast on the right side. And when you're putting in your extension, that means your line coming out of your extension, your downhaul line here, is gonna be on the ground side. And so we are gonna use these pulleys and this grommet to just make sure everything can get nice and tight. Some sails might be a little bit different, but for the Nova rig, we'll show you how to get this guy rigged up well. We are gonna start by taking our downhaul line and going underneath the sail and going through the grommet. We're gonna pull it all the way through, loop it back, coming from the bottom of the first pulley. We're gonna loop it up and then go right back under. When we are getting these lines through our pulley and also through this grommet, it's very important that we don't cross our lines. If our lines are crossing, it makes it hard to downhaul, and it also makes it hard to release and get those lines to free your sail for when you're done sailing. So we want to make sure that when we're putting this through, that our lines aren't overlapping. So I'm just going to make sure here in the grommet that my lines are nice and straight right there. I'm going to go back through the bottom of the second pulley, right back through the bottom of the grommet. And then on here, you might be able to see right underneath here, this silver piece is gonna be a little cleat for us. So we're gonna pop our line right down through that cleat. And then this is where things get a little tricky and it requires a little elbow grease. We're gonna get down on our butt, plant our foot right there on the mast, the base of the extension. And we are going to pull as tight as we can. Now that you've gotten that guy tight, you can see that you're starting to get a little bit of bend out of your mast, as well as a little bit of tension in this bottom batten here. And that's what we're looking for. This can definitely get a little bit tighter, but we'll do that as we get a few more pieces on. Cool, so now that we have our sail all downhauled and nice and tight, we can start getting our boom on. A couple parts with the boom. We have our boom head up here, as well as our clamp that's gonna hold us onto the mast. We have our uphaul, which will allow us to get the sail up and out of the water if it falls in. And then finally at the other end, our clew and our outhaul rope. That's gonna get the sail tight, pulling across the sail so we can definitely get as much wind as possible. Cool, we'll get this guy on here. So what we'll do is we will start on this end. Typically what you wanna do on your boom head, looking at the clamp, we usually want this string to go under the bottom. That way it's just gonna be easier to pull through when we're starting to get attached to our mast. So we're gonna come over here, we're gonna lift our sail up, and we are gonna slide this guy in, and we're gonna walk it right up here to the opening in our luff. We're gonna slide our clew all the way to the back. You can see on our sail, we have a couple grommets right over here, and that's what we'll be getting tight when we start pulling our outhaul. But for right now, we just need to get this guy clamped on here. What we're gonna do is slide this guy up. This part gets a little tricky. It requires that we get this line around the mast so we can clip it into the clamp right there. So what we're gonna do is we are going to pick up our mast and try and get our fingers in between the mast and the sail, just like that. That way I can grab that line, start to pull it through, and once I have it pulled all the way through, what I can do is I can pop that guy right in just like that, and then our line will be on the top side of our sail right here. So we can pop our line right around this lip right here, and then we have this big lever on the outside of our boom that folds in and gives us a good clamp, and that's how we know it's tight. From there, what we can do is grab our uphaul rope. We are going to take the last loop, and we're gonna loop it right around the bottom here where we have our downhaul nice and tight and neat down there. And that's basically just getting our boom mounted onto the mast. Now we can start getting tight with our outhaul and putting the final touches on the sail. Now that we've got our boom clamped onto our mast, we can start tightening out our outhaul, and this is what's gonna put our final tension and the final touches on getting this sail ready. What we're gonna do, since we have this cord wrapped into our outhaul or into our clew right here, what we're gonna do is going to take our rope and first pass it through the top of the grommet, pull it back, and then you can see inside of our clew right here, we have a pulley right there and a cleat right there. So we'll just be using this side. We can sort of ignore that side right now. We are gonna pass this pulley back through, the bottom, and we are going to push it back through the top just like that. That way we can go back through the sail once again. We're going to take the line going through the top of the grommet again, and then we are going to pull through, and then we are going to go under both of those lines that we just put in there, making sure that these aren't crossing in the grommet. We're going to flip those guys back over. Cool, awesome. Now that we've got that set, we are going to pop this guy back in, and we're going underneath those lines so we can get to the cleat. We're gonna hold on to our clue, pull as tight as we can, put that line in the cleat, and we're set. Just like our downhaul, we do need to wrap up this line. So we are going to wrap it around the back of our clue just a couple of times and then tuck it in so everything can stay nice and snug and stay out of our way while we're sailing. Awesome, now that you guys are all set with getting your sail rigged, you can check out our other videos on getting our board set up, and we'll see you out on the water.